Good good evening, my darlings. I just changed my lighting a little here. There we go. That's a little bit more. I look very evening, don't I? And festive today. Hello, good evening. Hi, gorgeous. Ah, that's exciting. I'm trying to stay warm with my little fluff coat on. Hey darling, hi Laura, hi Hazel, beauties. Welcome everyone. So do put your name down in the comments if you're watching this now or if you are catching up with this on the replay. It's really lovely to know who I am speaking to, as I am speaking to you. And thank you for being here on your Sunday evening. If you are here now, hope you're all curled up nice and snug and warm if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, or perhaps moving away from being in too much heat if you are listening to this in the Southern Hemispheres. It's gone a little bit cool today. I love the fact that over there, no, it's the other side, isn't it? It's weird when it's opposite. It looks like there's the moon outside my window. I assure you there's no moon outside my window right now. But we'll just pretend that it is this amazing, big, glowing, full moon of possibility. So let's get straight to it. What I want to talk to you about this evening is, well, first of all, actually, the first thing I want to say is I seem to be on a mission to begin to normalize us speaking about money. And I think particularly as women. Some of you know that for quite a while now, and particularly the last few weeks, I've been absolutely deep diving into the energetics and currency and everything around money. And it is an absolutely fascinating topic. Even some of the posts I've put up here on social media have caused quite a divisiveness in the comments beneath as well. So it's very clear, and I don't think I even really need to say this, but it is very clear that when it comes to our relationship to money, there's quite a lot of stickiness, and whether that is judgment, whether that is shame, whether that is a sense of pride, whether it's a sense of, oh, you're just kind of being stuck on this thing and it doesn't mean anything, or whether it's something that is so meaningful to you. We all have, and this is very obvious when you look at it, we all have a relationship with money. It's kind of unavoidable in the world that we are living in. Yes, I love that, Hazel. Yay! So, it might be that you're listening to this because you're on this kind of side of like, yeah, I love money, or you're excited about money, or perhaps you're curious about changing your relationship with money, or perhaps you're listening to this coming from the other side of you're suspicious of money, perhaps you don't trust it. Perhaps you just think there's too much talk about it already, or there's too much focus around money, and there's no point really, and maybe you're kind of over that. Yeah, it doesn't matter why you're here. I'm just really grateful and appreciative that you've given the space and time. And I'm hoping that this live this evening, what I'm going to share with you, perhaps there is a possibility maybe of being a little more open to other ways of thinking around money. Now, something really important. Yes, I am researching a lot around money at the moment and the energetics. And one of the things that's very clear is what is out there, so much actually out there, is a lot of stuff around changing your relationship, being a millionaire, being a badass with money, all of this aspect of psychology, how to attract it, manifest it, and so on. And yes, this is really important to have a desire to change one's relationship with money or to have more money in one's life for whatever the reasons might be. But there's something really important that we need to be able to honor to begin with. And that is the part of us that doesn't necessarily believe that we deserve money, doesn't necessarily believe that we have value, or who we are is of value, or what we have is of value, and that others will perceive that value and want to invest in whatever it is that we're offering out. Maybe we feel like we've always lived in a very contracted place around money. We've grown up with the stories. Maybe not even just our stories, but the generational ones from our parents and their parents, our community, our tribe, our history. We might be very familiar with living from more of a lack mentality, a scarcity mindset, poverty mindset. We might have a lot of fear when it comes to, or denial or avoidance of, or even quite a strong reaction. Maybe there's a real fuck you money kind of going on. All of these voices, they also need to be honored. They sit in us. They have a voice. They take up some aspect of our power and energy. And when we start to begin on a journey to transform our relationship with the currency, the energy around money, we'll need to really take time to hear their voice as well, not to just ignore or deny, because that part of us needs to be included. Okay? So it's not about, okay, I just want to be massively wealthy and rich and blah, blah, blah. Sure. But if we've got these strong other voices in us, then we need to find a way to honor those too. So I just wanted to say that, just to add in another piece around giving time and space to actually hear, and to also feel and to listen and to see what is underneath or behind some of our beliefs or feelings that we've been living in around money. And it's a strange topic, isn't it? It's like talking about sex, and they're very, very connected. How much do we talk about this? When does it become crude? When is it too trashy to really be talking about money? And that's something, again, that I'm aware is a very edgy topic, and I'm kind of hovering between kind of really being rah, 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 and quite, brashy and bold and quite disgusting and filthy around really being there around, yeah, let's make money. And then also this part of me that I can feel, that shadow part that needs to have its voice, that's a little bit like, ooh, shit, is this being a little bit, oof, rubbing my dollars in other people's faces in a way. So I think perhaps for most of us, we have a bit of both going on. We have a desire for, and maybe we also have this kind of stickiness, or this part that's like, oh, am I allowed? Is that too vulgar? Or do we want to be seen as vulgar? And what does that even mean anyway? So just some little food for thoughts there. But what I wanted to come on here and play with a little bit is, this is huge, is looking at, for the very first part of how we start to explore working with money, is what is the language that we are using when we speak about money, and not just consciously or directly speaking about money, but in a broader sense of certain words that we use in our everyday language that is connected to this particular currency. You could also say these are the same language that we could use around our creative currency or our sexual currency, our life force energy itself. Because once you start to look and notice, it's quite extraordinary really how much we use certain words that connect with money when we're talking about other aspects of our life. And really, how helpful are these words? If we see words as spells, as I do hugely, and I've certainly manifested all sorts of shit in my life through my words, consciously and actually most of the time unconsciously, it becomes very clear, to get a little bit Americanized and cliched here, that we actually do create what we think. Our words create our reality. For words are energy. What kind of energy are we telling life is what we live in and believe in and want to cultivate. Even if we're walking around thinking, sure, yeah, I want to have a life like this, if the language we're using is contradicting, it's very likely we're going to end up in a little bit of a kind of frozen place where nothing is really happening. So what I wanted to touch upon today is, first of all, I'm going to give you a list of some of these words, and you might start to think about how these come up for you in your life as it is. And then I thought we'd take 3 of these just to explore on this this evening. And as always, I really encourage you to share any thoughts around this, share anything that's arising for you, any like aha kind of moments, anything you agree with, anything you don't agree with, whether you're watching this live or you're watching this later on. I always love to encourage a conversation and a dialogue that we can all engage in. So hopefully this sounds interesting. So what kind of words do we use that also are the words that connect with money? So there's some kind of really obvious ones. Ones like, that's going to cost you. Okay, what's the cost for this? It's going to cost you. Or you're going to pay for that. Or if it's going to, let's see, I don't really want to spend my time or my energy doing this. Or I feel quite spent right now. We might say, actually, I feel quite charged up. Yeah. We might talk about, I feel like investing some of today into going to my studio and painting. We might also, you think about the words like rich. That sauce is rich. Yes, we might be talking about a flavour, but what does that actually mean? We could think about words like generosity, words like success, words like being wealthy, words like abundance, filthy rich, as I said before as well, bling bling. There's a lot of words that we use when we talk about money. So let's look at one of these to begin with, and we're going to look at, and I think this is really powerful, we're going to look at the word invest, okay, which we do use, as I say, a lot of the time in, I'm going to invest my time in this. We use it a lot to talk about time, I think. One of the things about invest is, and when we look at exploring what that means to us, and one of the things that I do a lot with my own self, because I've always done this, because I'm fascinated by words, but also particularly with clients, is to take a word that it maybe is very commonly used and we kind of have a sense of what it's said that word means, and actually go, how does that connect with you? What does that mean to you? So when we look at the word invest, the first thing I would ask you to consider is, what comes up for you to begin with? The word invest. So I want to share something that's really occurred to me over the last really few days, actually. And that is, I've started to become interested in, and this is my journey, investing in things. So I suppose I've never really done this myself. I've never, say, invested in stocks or stock market when that was a thing. Is it still a thing? Maybe it is. I've never invested in like cryptocurrency or maybe gold. I know people that do that because apparently it's you're never going to kind of lose so much. I've never invested in property. I've never been one of those people that's even had a desire to do that. It's always felt very alien to me. I've never invested in, say, beautiful art, though that's certainly something that I'm starting to do so, even if it's buying, just small small little pictures or prints from certain artists that I just like, because I love to have my walls filled with others' beautiful art and to support other artists. So I'm just starting to be curious about other ways to invest money. Okay, so getting to a certain point for me where we've got a different relationship with money, we've got more of a secure relationship that's building, it's quite new, we're in quite a new relationship, me and money. And then there's a little bit more like, okay, let's expand further around the edges of just having that. How do we invest into this future together? So it's not just about now, this moment now, and then the next moment, or maybe next week, or even next month, and then having to kind of start all over again, but to begin to think of a bigger picture like we would do in other relationships. When we feel safe enough to do so, we can start to look out a little bit more, look up and look out and go, okay, where else can we invest? But the thing is, what I want to ask you, and I'd love this if you had an answer to this, is what do you desire to invest in? And let's take away just simply being about money here. What do you desire to invest in? So perhaps for you, it's the desire to have more time so you can invest in writing more. It's one of mine. Well, it has been one of mine. Maybe it's a desire to have more time so that you can invest in your relationships more, whether it's with your partner, whether it's with your friends. Maybe you wished or desire to have, invest in a car so that you can go and see your parents more, who are maybe getting older. This makes that a lot easier. And that's so you can spend time with people that you love. So what is it that you're desiring to invest in, and what is the reason for that? What is the kind of payoff for that investment? What do you get back from that? It might be you desire to invest in eating healthily. You might desire to invest in getting a juicer or a smoothie maker so that you can have these to start your day off with. Maybe you want to invest in organic foods solely so that you can eat more healthily. You can create foods, meals that are more healthy for your family. Maybe you want to invest in a really good coat, over the winter, and the reason for that is to keep bloody warm. Maybe you're wanting to invest in learning a particular topic because you'd like to become more of an expert in that topic. Maybe you'd like to invest in traveling more because it just makes you feel so happy and so soul-fed and alive. So what are you desiring? My joy we've got here. So what does that mean then? To invest in your joy, or to invest in, this more free time, or to invest in your creativity. Why are those things important to you? Why are they things that you desire to invest in? Yes, it's a good thing to just kind of go beyond that, the question of what is the thing you desire to invest in? Why? What is underneath that? What are you actually getting back? In a way, what is your return of investment? ROI, I think they call it. I didn't know that not that long ago, that ROI spelled out was return on investment. What is your return on investment? And maybe the return on investment is more something less about the monetary aspect and more about something that feels deeper and more meaningful and more purposeful to you. So that's kind of the first part of that, is to look at this. What are we desiring to invest in? Why? What is that going to give us? What's the return on that investment? What is that feeding? What is that nourishing? What is that building? What is that creating? What kind of life is that making for us? And then the second part of this is then to go, well, okay, that's the desire. What am I really investing into? It might be that you desire to invest in to something monetary wise, that requires money. But maybe instead you're using your money on lots of things over the month that actually means you can't invest in that bigger thing that's going to give you the thing that you want. Or maybe you're desiring to invest your time into your creative projects, but you're wasting your time on, scrolling a lot, sleeping a lot, not doing the thing that you said you were going to do. So what you're actually investing in, does that line up with what you say you're desiring to invest in? And what does that mean? Because at some point when we start to look at or really changing our relationship with money, if we're looking at this particularly, which we are, we need to start to ask ourselves, when are we going to take this seriously? And it's not about taking it seriously as in, I'm going to be very serious from now on about everything. I'm a serious person. No, we can just be who we are, but there is something that it's almost this kind of, I don't know, what comes up in me is almost, like a kind of an honouring or an honour, like a warrior. It's a kind of a duty or a service, or even you could say a dharma. It's a bowing to this thing and going, okay, maybe my smaller needs or my momentary needs, they give me a bit of a fix, a bit of a hollow fix. But actually, when I bow to this bigger thing, there might be some momentary sacrifices, but this bigger thing is actually what I know. I know if I'm being loyal to myself, this is actually where I need to be investing my time, my money, my intention. One of the biggest resources we have in our life is our attention. Where are you? Where am I? Where are we investing our attention? Where we place our attention is where our energy goes. Energy is a currency. Is our energy and currency leaking out all over the place? Are we not really responsible for where we're investing the currency of our energy? Are we frivolous, flippant with that? Are we wasting it? Do we not see the value of this particular currency or energy? If you think about time, again, one of the biggest resources of currency that we have in our life. Are we wasting the time that we have? And often you hear of people who've had like near-death experiences or something really shocking has happened. Also people who are towards the end of their life. Pretty much what people say tends to be, I wish I had gone for this. I wish I hadn't wasted so much worry and energy on this, but actually into this instead. That would have felt more meaningful to me. Or people kind of have those extraordinary things happen that are quite like life-changing, and it wakes them up to go, what the fuck am I doing? I'm not wasting my energy, I'm not wasting my attention on these petty things anymore. I have to go and do this. I have to radically change my life. I have to follow the thing that makes me just feel so alive, that I am desiring to invest my life into. Because essentially we are investing in life. And underneath that bottom line, we're investing in ourself. Am I worth investing in? That's a huge question, isn't it? Am I worth investing in? Am I worth investing in? And to really sit with that and to see what arises when you sit with that. Because it might be a lot of, oof, 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 the spotlight, please don't look at me, oof, oof, oof. Am I worth investing in? Can we find a clear yes? Or is that really hard to do? Are there things in the way? I don't deserve. Why me? I don't think so. I was never told I was any good. I don't believe I have anything to offer. Who cares about my point of view, my opinion, my creative expression? It's a very, isn't it? Hi Sharon, hello gorgeous. It's a really interesting question to begin with. And even having that as the one thing you take from this, it's really powerful. Even to ask yourself when you're doing loads of things, to pause and go, have I invested in myself today? What would that mean? And that can mean anything from, going to do the work that we know is important to us, to going out for a walk, to making sure you're having enough water, to having a hot bath. Got my heating on from a hot bath. That's going to happen after here. I'm very excited about that. So investing in nourishing myself. There's so many levels where we could invest. But we get clearer with this when we start from ourselves. So am I worth investing in? How can I begin to invest in myself? What does that mean? What does that look like? It means spending time, spending my attention, and taking that seriously. How can we desire to even look outside to other things? How can we even find a way to know and to trust the desire to invest in things if we haven't got that strong enough that it starts with us in the first place? Otherwise, we're going to end up investing perhaps in the things that maybe we think we should, or what others say, or get caught in the old stories like I can't afford it, or I don't know, am I the only one doing it? That person is a bit cynical about it. When we know I have to invest in this, it doesn't make sense because it's investing in me in the long term. Remember, investment is a bigger picture than just this quick fix. It's looking further ahead than now. It's looking up and out towards the horizon and to the vision we are creating for our own life. How is this landing? How is this landing? What is coming up for you around this question of investment? What have you been investing in? Has it given you, what return of investment have you got on the things you've invested in? God, it's a massive topic. So I'm only going to cover 3 of these on this particular live right now, because these are really powerful to start to begin to change and swirl the way we look at the energetics and currency of money. If we take away all of the charge that we can think about money is when we talk about it, or society talks about it, and we begin to use other words like this that are connected to it, we can also begin to start changing our own money patterns and stories. Interesting, isn't it? And this is all obviously connected to value, it's connected to worth. And as I mentioned before, there is something about dignity in this. I can feel that. There's something about a real strong alignment, clarity of purpose, very warrior. It's very holding a sword, a lot of discernment, real clarity place to live from. Say, dignity is a huge part of this. Yeah, so it's all gone a little bit quiet here. So if there is anything that's come up for you around this, anything that you're aware of in yourself, please do share. As I said right at the beginning, let's begin to break this kind of taboo of talking about money. I even, went out yesterday late afternoon with a friend, and we went and ended up after mooching around going to have coffee and cake, and she's somebody also who's got quite a new business, and she asked me about how much I've been making, and I kind of sat for a moment and I thought, I'm going to just be really open about the numbers, which I did with her. I have never done that before. It's always been slightly coy, I'm like, okay, it's numbers. If I want to normalize us talking about money, then let's begin to talk about money. So it's all happening. Let's have a look. Hazel says, joy gives me energy, creativity, flow, life. Yeah, I'm looking at how I feel insignificant and worthy of value, worth, investment, dignity, but I'm learning. It's all a learning, my darling, and thank you for being so honest. Yeah. I mean, even, you saying that and offering that, so, I really appreciate your absolute honesty and the courage to share like that. How is it to even see that being written down? How does that leave you feeling? Because a lot of this, so much shame around money. It's so common. It's like sex again. I wasn't taught to have. I had probably the same amount of talking around money in the money conversations that I did around sex growing up. You have to figure it all out yourself. And, you know, we've probably all got a lot of very, very shifty answers around all of this stuff, isn't it? You know, all the messages that our parents taught to us about this. Thank you. Thank you, both of you. So let's move on. Let's move on. I'll leave you with that. The second word, and you can see it'll all start to kind of connect in. And this is more of a philosophical question, and again, it's powerful. So here's the question. What are the choices that you're making for your life costing you? What are the decisions that you're making, the actions you're taking, where you're saying yes to things, no to things? What are they costing you? Are they costing you your peace of mind? Are they costing you your integrity? Are the choices and decisions and actions that you're taking costing you your dignity, your respect, your trust, your trustworthiness? Are they costing you your dreams? What is the cost of the life that you are currently living? Isn't that interesting? Because obviously we use that word cost very much to, you know, it's the price of something. That's the price you pay. We use that a lot, don't we? The price you pay. What is the cost of not going after the things that you want in your life? What's the cost? Maybe the cost is the deep joy that you know that you would get from living a certain way, or choosing to go after something that you've been dreaming of, that you've been desiring for so long. It's going to cost you that ultimate, perhaps, joy, or maybe the ultimate freedom. Or maybe it's going to cost you that, you know, the kind of wondering what would have happened if you would have turned left instead of right at a certain time. The not knowing. Oftentimes when we look at this question, what's the cost of, usually it's because there's not been, for whatever reason, the willingness to invest or the ability to invest in something, and not having done so has cost us something that we've kind of held back on. Maybe the fear of taking that risk, of daring, of going for something has cost us something else. Maybe it cost us an opportunity that we perhaps regret and never will have that again. Maybe it cost us the ability to learn the biggest thing. Maybe it cost us love. You know? We didn't just fucking go for something because it felt so right for us. Maybe we met somebody at a holiday romance and there was just this like, fuck, you're the person. And there's part of you going, don't be stupid, it's just a holiday romance. But they felt the same thing and they were like aligned with you and everything you were looking for, and there was an opportunity to pursue that, or maybe go and just go fuck it and go off travelling with that person for a month. I'm just going with a completely random story in my mind. Who knows what would have happened? Maybe you would have had an adventure, maybe you've had a story to tell. Maybe you would have like 3 kids with this person and be living in a completely different city or country. Often this is related to when we haven't necessarily trusted our instinctual nature, that deep-rooted voice that knows. Not the impulsive voice, that's very different, the impulsive, that's quite the quick fix one, but a deeper one. That one that's, you know, it's always purring underneath. And when we've had those times when we've had those opportunities to step up to that or been offered that, and we haven't, for whatever reason, what has been the cost? And what is the cost of speaking out for who you are? What is the cost for going for the things you want to do? Does it mean leaving people behind? And you're scared of that? Does it mean, you know, a different relationship with your family? Does it mean people aren't going to like you? Does it mean that you might fail, make a mistake? There is a lot of value and our life energy wrapped up in this word cost. and what that actually represents to us. It's really powerful, isn't it? What's it cost you? Again, be really curious to know your thoughts. Let's have a look. I did that a few months back, told people to live on. We're in a house in it, and it's not enough at radical to say that in a room full of people. It's really radical, isn't it? Oh, and it's a real relief to say that, to say things. My friend married, her holiday romance, had 2 children with him, living in beautiful Kalamata. Really? See, I love that. Oh, see, you know, if they hadn't, your friend hadn't done that, what would have been the cost? One of the most powerful posts I've seen recently was not that long ago, a few days ago on Instagram, and it was an account I follow, which for the life of me I can't remember right now because of my menopause brain. But it was somebody who works so much with inspiring artists and has put her real journey of becoming a published author and of making a living from her art over the last few years. I think it's called Inspire to Create, is her account. So normal, so wonderful, so beautiful. And she put a post up a few days ago about kind of debunking some of the myths around creativity, kind of outing herself for things that, you know, you kind of feel like other artists are being or doing and she wasn't. And there were some great examples, including, you know, I only write 300 to 500 words a day. I've never got that far in the artist's way, no matter how many times I try. I can't remember the other ones, but in the comments beneath, oh, what a joy! People shared their like, you know, I haven't painted for 6 months and I feel really shit, but I still call myself an artist and trusting that I'm going to get back to picking up a paintbrush again. And the realness of people talking about demystifying, taking away some of that shame that's been mentioned here in the comments around this area of our potentiality, where our charge live, where our aliveness is, where possibility comes from. And particularly at the end of the day with, you know, talking about money. Money in itself isn't anything. It doesn't do anything, money in itself. You know, it needs to be moved. That's why it's a current. It needs to be moved. I've been doing an experiment this week by having loads of cash in my purse to use that instead of the automatic card that I use. Really fascinating on many levels. One is the amount of places that are card only these days. Shocks me. And a couple of places that say card only, and when I've insisted, they've gone, yeah, go on then, you can use cash, which has made me go, yes. But also the feel, the difference when I paid for cash. It's like I can feel the money energy going, yeah, we're off on an adventure, we're going somewhere else now, we're going to keep moving and flowing, I've gifted you this pleasure, you know, whether it's your food for your dinner, whether it's neon embroidery thread for your erotic, subversive, you know, cross-stitch material, whippy! It's like money really enjoys giving you pleasure. And when I've paid by card at those places that I've been to or have had to get stuff from where they don't take money, none of that. Cold, as if there's a real cut off from being connected to the experience of this flow, the pleasure of this flow. And all of it can be pleasure. Paying your bill, you know, paying your electric bill, whatever, can be a pleasure as you hand that money over, to have that sense of, yeah, okay, there's heat, I can cook, I can have a hot bath and hot water, and whee, off money goes on its adventure, knowing that because money's on the adventure, it will flow back in again. Because that's what it does. We can't catch it. We can invest it in, we can accumulate it, we can play with it, it's still got an aliveness, it's not just stuck, it's doing something. I feel the guilt of not taking action, it weighs me down. I hear you, darling, and you're in the right place with me. I love paying my bills on time. Absolutely, same here, because of so many years when I couldn't. It's something that I feel, still now, it feels good, it feels clean, it feels responsible, there's a good feeling with that. It's interesting, isn't it? So the cost of, is it weighing you down? Is there guilt? Is there shame? Is there fear? Is there regret? Is there freedom because you chose to take action? So the cost of taking action, the cost of investing in yourself has had repercussions. Because then it makes you wonder, maybe there's always a cost in this life which is full of transaction. In so many ways we live in this all the time, a sense of transaction. So maybe there's always a sense of cost. And if we are kind of aware of that, well, I've just got the Hunger Games in my head. May the odds be ever in your favour. It's such a good film, The Hunger Games. I loved paying my taxes when I was working. It's beautiful. And this is when we start to get mature with money and the responsibility. Again, that's where that dignity comes from. It's a better relationship. It's a secure relationship. It's an honouring one. Beautiful. So let's do one more. Yeah, let's do one more. What shall we let's see. What word shall we do? Well, let's look at something a bit different then. Let's look at what it means for you to be rich. Like I said right at the beginning, there's a sense of, you might eat a dessert or have some food and you're like, whoa, that's really rich. So what do we mean by that? We mean it's intense. Maybe it has a lot of depth of flavors. It stays on your palate. Maybe there's other flavors that come through. Maybe it feels almost like you can't have too much of that because it's so rich. We say things, don't we? Like, oh, that's richer than, isn't it? Like who they think they are, it's richer than coming from her. Maybe that's quite a northern expression. What does rich mean to you? It makes me think of sauces that are thick and have substance. So for me, there's a sense with rich when I use that word, and I feel that word. If I say I want a rich life, it has many layers, like that delicious food. It has many flavors and many textures. It's not thin. It has a substance to it that's actually quite, probably quite pleasurable. I don't know why I'm just stirring this. I've got this kind of really, maybe like rose flavored custard that I'm stirring right now. It's a deliciousness. It's very fulfilling because a lot of times, and going back to food here because it's a good analogy to use, we don't need a lot to feel rich. That's interesting. We don't need loads to feel rich. There's a quality to richness, not quantity, but a quality to richness, a depth. So this becomes about the quality of your life. Your life could be so simple, so ordinary. That's what the desire is. And for you, that is the richest life. Your rich life is your family, perhaps. Being healthy, being happy, laughing with them. There is a sense of richness in me comes with substance. It's a life of substance. And it's a feeling of being embodied by this richness. That it's almost like it's in our blood, like we have, blue blood. I don't know why you'd want blue blood running through you. It sounds really dark and like zombie-like and very cold to me. So I would say maybe like a really deep, maroony red, viscous. That's rich to me. Maybe it's textures, maybe rich to me really does connect with the senses, and maybe it's a world where I'm so much more connected with my senses as a rich world. Does it have anything to do with money? Yes, of course, absolutely. Money can buy those expensive dinners or the beautiful jumper that feels really rich to the touch. But it's more than that. We can have all of those things in our lives and not feel rich. We could have the poorest heart in the world that's closed. There could be no love around us. We could be lonely. The home we have could be, maybe full of stuff, but perhaps it just feels too cold or too empty. perhaps we feel this gaping hole inside of us, then we're not rich at all. In fact, we're probably very, very poor at that point. So what does rich mean to you? You know, it's just got this sauce in my head. It's a saucy life. Always going to come back to the erotic with me. You know how it is. What does rich mean to you? And we can do this with other words. Yeah, we can do this with really looking at success. We can do this with really looking at abundance. We can do this with looking at the word money itself. And how I like to work, very much so as well, is in trying on these words. I thought I thought a word a few years ago, because I do a lot of stuff at the beginning of the year with finding my word, not from a head level, but from an embodied, energetic level. And I thought my word was going to be abundance for that year ahead, because that's what I was desiring to have. And when I tried it on, and there's a method I work with this, we try on the word. It's like getting in its clothing, like we're at a store, you know, soul store or life store. Didn't feel right. Didn't give me anything. But what actually started to happen was I felt that it was too constricted. And then the word that came to me was generosity. I tried that one. Suddenly I had all this space. Oh, so much space. And it was very heartful. And I realized, weirdly, I felt more abundant, what I thought was abundant, in the spirit of, or in the clothing of, or in the essence and energy of generosity than I did with abundance, which is interesting, because obviously generosity, there is a sense of generosity. You're giving, it's outwards, it's not just for oneself. And I took that word on for that year. It was a few years ago, and boy oh boy did I have a generous year in so many ways that made me feel so abundant. Yeah, isn't it? Thank you. Generosity. And it was a surprise. It was a real surprise, because, you know, I thought I wanted this particular thing, but it actually turned out bizarrely that what I needed, what I really wanted and desired, was almost a word that was pretty much, I felt like it could be the complete opposite. So being aware of how we work with the language around money and what that means to us can literally turn something on its head. It can stop us in our tracks and go, fuck. I've been completely going in the wrong direction here. I've been wasting so much, wasting money, wasting time, wasting so much of my life, my resource, my energy, my currency, my aliveness, my excitement, my joy, my awe, my wonder, all of this in the wrong place. And I wondered why I've not kind of like, you know, called in what I thought I was calling in, or why I'm working so hard and this hasn't materialized to me. So I'm just wondering if there's any questions around this or any thoughts. I'm aware of time here. Is this blowing your mind a little bit? Have you thought about these kind of things before? And there are so many ways we can play with this. So many, including particular phrases that we use all the time and don't realize we're using them. But when we start to know about them, wow, we can stop using those. We can change the words. We hear it in people around us. We start to see how everybody is literally creating their life, and particularly our money stories. But there are so many levels to this. There are so many stages in working with changing the relationship we have around money. And what I really want to get across here is this is bigger than money. Those of you that have worked with me, those of you that have worked with me with working with desire, those of you that have worked with me working with creativity in particular, in the creative process, yes, we work with those things. In a way, they're a vehicle. But actually what we're learning is practices for life, practices for the fullness of our life that we can have, practices to empower us, practices for freedom. We just happen to use these particular things as vehicles for the practice. That comes actually from the late, I think, great Anthony Bourdain, who was an extraordinary chef. I would say a real visionary, one of these, quite troubled, who, for being who he is, quite maverick and outspoken, very much love food, very, wild in many ways. He used what he was good at, his cooking and food and the love for that, when he got the opportunity to make programs, TV programs, and throwing that money at him, his ideas. For him, he spoke about how he used that as a vehicle for the practice, which I loved. And for him, it was the vehicle of the practice of being able to speak to people and share the stories of ordinary people from all over the world. So he'd go off, and particularly his last shows that he was doing, the last series, were very much about finding these like little places in like Vietnam or anywhere where you probably wouldn't go. You think, oh, that food's gonna, probably gonna make you ill or not, not very good. And finding these places which tend to have the best food, talking to the chef, most humble person that didn't got a fucking clue about celebrity status or Michelin stars or anything like that, and sitting and having deep conversations about them, their food, their life, their philosophy, what it was like in their culture. And for him, he loved stories. So in a weird way, he used that in order to his true expression, which was for people to have a voice and for their stories to be told. And for me, that is, wow, that is a true artist using the currency in a way for a bigger purpose or meaning. So of course, money is not just about money, it has a bigger purpose and meaning for why we possibly want that. Our creative process is not just about being an artist, there's a bigger reason or meaning. Getting clearer and freeing ourselves around our sexual energy is not just about perhaps our own pleasure and freeing ourselves from that, but it has a bigger sense of purpose and meaning in our life. All of these do. And I'm always about that. So before I finish here, I'm gonna just share in the comments now about the program which starts on Wednesday. So the doors close on Tuesday, so on Sunday you've got 2 days pretty much. We'll close on midnight on Tuesday to get in on the money keys. All the information is there about it. This was just a small taster of the work we're going to do. Now, this is for you if you want to change your money story, so you're not living in the fear and the constriction, the contraction and the dependence around, and the either insecure or avoidant relationships, or just really having quite a difficult relationship with money, and you want to change that because you want to bring wealth into your life in a different way. You want to have the financial flow, you want to be able to do stuff, you want to start this business, you want to be able to go here and even have the materials to buy, pay your bills, treat your friends, your children, your partner, your parents, whatever it might be. But this is also about this sense of our own value, our own worth from an inner, deeper place. So we're using money as the vehicle, but this is going to be for something so much bigger than that. So I really want to be clear about that. It's going to be, I can't tell you how extraordinary this is going to be. Yeah, me too. I'm so beyond looking forward to this. This is proper fucking magic work, and we're going to go out into the world. We're going to play with money. It's going to be edgy as hell, because isn't this edgy as hell? You're going to end up doing things that you'll be like, whoa. And we're going to start a revolution around money. Why not? We need to change things. It's not having money that's the issue. It's how we're using it. It's how it's being used. It's what's not being spoken about. It's the same with our sexual energy. And we see the shit that happens when that's not clear and claimed and has a voice that's clear and claimed, and all the shame and shit that goes around it. Now, you can contact me in a private message and go, chat please around this, and we'll book in a chat and we'll just see if there's a fit for you, and I'll give you some more information about it. Okay, if you know you're in, there's the link in the comments, just go for it. If you're like, okay, it's payday next week, or listen, the irony is not lost to me. This is a program about money, and maybe you're going, I can't afford it, I don't have the money. Oh, believe me, we're going to really work with that one as well. I honour that, and please do not let the money be the reason you don't jump on board this program. I have been there, my darlings, many times. We will find a way to support you, if it's installments, for you to be able to do the program. I'll never turn anyone away because of money. So if that is the reason, check that. If you need this program, you know this is going to be radical for you, then contact me anyway. Okay, let's have a chat. Spread the word about this. If you know anyone that might be interested in this video, let them know, and I can invite them to watch this. And this is radical work. I am amazed at what has been opened up to me since I've stepped into this. It's everywhere, this whole money thing. I'm just watching Squid Game Challenge on Netflix right now. I'm going to go back to watching it. The whole thing is for like £4 million of worth of money. It's bonkers. And what people are willing to do for that money, what they've given up, it is everything. It's so fascinating how much money is everywhere. And most of us are very, very cut off from absolute awareness and conscious clarity around what it represents. So let's make this a game. Let's play with it. As you can see, I'm very excited. Okay, my darlings, I love you very much and deeply appreciate you. And do share anything that's come up. Viva the money revolution indeed. And I bid you a beautiful rest of your evening. You're amazing and deeply appreciative of you being here. Thank you for your time and attention.